Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of WrestleSlam. This is your only place to get wrestling news. Forget everything else. This is the place. This is the latest, newest episode of WrestleSlam. I am Matt Murphy, of course. I'm back and doing hosting duties again. I don't know. Maybe it's my luscious voice. Maybe it's my lovely face, but I'm back at it again. And I am with the three amigos. He is Phil Connolly. I don't know where I'm pointing. Jerry Colvin, I don't know where I'm pointing. And to this week's guest, he is known as the man with the mustache. He is known as the man with the hat on or off. You may know him with another name by the name of Boots. But for this
Gross.
episode, he's known as Nathan Murphy. How are you doing, lad?
Uh, well, it's a much less impactful being called Nathan Murphy than Boots. So sorry for your ears. Yeah, I'm doing very good. I'm very happy to be on here, talk about some wrestling. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Big Boots Murphy. I wrestle here in Ireland. I am currently most predominantly working for OTT. Just come back off an ankle injury. I broke my ankle about 2 months ago, so starting to climb my way. Starting to climb my way back up to be on shows, and yeah, I say Boots a lot.
Yeah. Do you want me to actually retake that just for the laugh and just like do that introduction? Be like, you know him as Nathan Murphy, but he is known to everyone as Boots.
Don't edit these, by the way.
Radio silence.
Do you want to redo it? I don't
No, no,
mind.
no, no, we'll keep it in. We'll keep it in.
Yeah, it's live, even though it's not.
Yeah, we're live, pal. But yeah, because usually at this point we would actually tell the guests who they are, what to do. But I feel like people who's actually watching this, listening to this, will look at Boots and just be like, "Yeah, we know who you are. We know who you
I
are."
hope. I hope.
Yeah, but yeah, because it's kind of when you mentioned about like OTT about wrestling on the scene. I said this to like all the wrestler on the Irish scene. It feels like every single day the Irish scene is growing, growing, growing. It's official. You're a part of this, my man. Like people
Yeah.
actually, yeah, people come to the
hun-
show, see yourself perform, be like, I want to be like this guy.
Over the weekend, OTT, we hosted a Race to the Top in Sheriff Street.
Mm.
And only about Wednesday or Thursday it was announced that I'll be making my return after breaking my ankle a couple of months ago, and I've come back 3 months ahead of schedule, and so I in the grand scheme of OTT I've missed two shows, which is very funny in my opinion. But even still, there was a girl in the crowd, and she had a sign that said like "Welcome back, Boots." And I got like from the OTT faithful, like I got a good warm welcome, and it felt really cool to just not be forgotten. Even though it's only been two shows, like still, it was a bit of a mental struggle to be out and be barely able to move. So yeah, and it's still growing. We had two performers over the weekend, Kat Von K, and we had Young Dara perform. And these two, this girl and Young Dara, the guy, they're picking up wrestling at an alarming rate, better than any like my group of lads, Keen Noonan, Bittersweet Josh, the same, Stanley Turnpike, Luke Farrell, like we all picked it up fast, but these guys are picking up so quickly, and you're going to be seeing so much more of Young Dara and Kat Von K. They are doing a blinder, like they are playing a blinder. They are fantastic. So the Irish wrestling scene, not only in Dublin but in Limerick, in Cork, in just around the world, around Ireland, sorry, is doing really really well. So very very exciting times.
Yeah, very exciting time, very exciting times. Because we met so many people that like Tens OTT, like Tens all other Irish wrestling shows, and they don't even watch W. They don't even watch AEW, the big events. They just stay tuned with OTT. So
Okay.
I feel like that there's like fans, so many like coming to see so many wrestlers and so many boots, obviously. Um, and especially with the big show coming up in October, like just the 10th anniversary. So it's a pretty big deal, my man.
Yeah. What we sold that out in 4 or 5 days, like definitely less than a week. We sold it out. I don't know the exact time frame, but yeah, we have JD McDonough, Finn Balor coming in, and wrestling Finn Balor outside of WWE for the first time in like over a decade, which is crazy. And obviously, anybody that's been a fan of OTT over the last 10 years have seen JD McDonough's rise in OTT and then in WWE as well. So it's a great homecoming for those two talents, and it's just as a fan, Finn Balor got me back into wrestling, and now to be like possibly sharing a locker room with him is something I didn't think was possible. Like about 2 months ago, I think the exact moment I realized it was possible is when it got announced on the screen. I with a broken ankle, shut up, hands in the air, hands to God. Like, how is this possible? Yeah, this is going to be one of the like biggest shows in Irish wrestling history. It's so exciting.
Yeah, and of course, like so many people will be there. Like the three of us will be there. Jerry, Phil, what's your thoughts, lads?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a long time coming. We've been at Jerry. You went to the very first one. I didn't.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to fall into that kind of category when they done the first one. I was kind of an up and coming journalist, and obviously I knew Joe, and yeah, I've been doing media work now, I suppose, with OTT since the first one, and it's kind of the last 12 months. I've kind of, I suppose, the fact I bring my son to the shows now, it's like Daddy has to go into the crowd now with the fans, which I absolutely love. But yeah, no, it's this is surreal, lads, and like I'm a big fan of you, Boots. First of all, I
Thank you.
there was a lot of promos and videos you were putting around there the last couple of months and over the last year, and I'm glad to see you back. And it's look, what a show to get back to. And yeah, look, this is huge. I think people don't realize that this is possibly the biggest show they're going to put on. Like, you have two homegrown talents like Balor and JD McDonough, and it's surreal. And like I'm sure the whole card itself would be electrifying, but it's huge. And this I would not be surprised, and I'm not trying to be mean. I would not be surprised if there was another surprise on that show that night. Because it's already huge, but like, OTT is the gift that keeps giving. It always produces masterful shows, and I cannot wait, guys. I really am looking forward. My son, he's buzzing. He's a big Balor fan, and yeah, this is huge, guys. I really can't wait.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't want to say this in the podcast, but Boots, next time you're talking to Joe, can you try and get him to increase security? Because we went with so many OTT shows with Jerry Son Leon, and he kept eyeing up the wrestlers like, I can take him on, take him on. So just a heads up.
I'll let our ring crew know to watch out for him.
And
It's when he put on that little Rey Mysterio mask. It's just those little moments, like.
It's when he shaped up to Moxley.
Yeah.
That was class. And Moxley just fist bumped him. But yeah, no, like this is surreal. And I think, look, the fact that, look, we spoke there to Joe about 8 years ago on camera. We did an interview, and we were speaking about Irish talent coming through, and there was like a lack of it. Like, there was obviously talent there in Ireland, but now like we have so much. And like Nathan mentioned,
there was no schools or nothing back then either. Well, there was, but there wasn't really.
There was a lot of seminars, I think, but like,
Yeah.
as you said, now you have the Irish school, and there's so much more. But like, even Nathan mentioned the two names there, like Kat. Like, I've often, even before she started wrestling, I always said, because like, she's kind of got that physique where she could do something really good, and I always said, give it a try. And now I think she's in her second match, maybe, you know what I mean. So I think
third this weekend.
Yeah, third this weekend. So that's the start of it. We need more females, first of all.
100%.
And look at the lads coming through. Like, you look at Boots, and you have all these great people coming through. It's a great time to be alive, and it's in 2-3 years from now. Like, we'll have to reach out to Triple H to get a hold of Boots, because he'll be so in demand. You know what I mean? Great character, great wrestler, an absolute power horse. You've got great power and attributes in that ring, and it's look, it's a great time to be watching our Irish talent.
It's all down to Joe Cabray and Paddy Morrow in terms of what OTT is putting out. Joe Cabray and Paddy Morrow, Sean Max Guinness and Session Martina and Paul Tracy as well. These people that come to the school and give us their knowledge that they've taken over like 10, 15, 20 years, however long they've been wrestling. And it's amazing to sit down and listen to Paddy Morrow call a match, make you understand wrestling in such a simplified way that makes going out there so much easier. And Joe Cabray just absolutely beating the fundamentals into us. You go to any school outside of Ireland and you don't see what Joe Cabray teaches us. He was in the Performance Center when it just opened up. He took all that knowledge like a sponge and not only applied it to OTT itself in the style of production, but also the school. Like, we drill our footwork, we drill our selling, we drill our ability to feed and such. That is what WWE is looking for. And I would say most of the people that come through our school are WWE tryout ready, you know. And it's a testament to not only Joe Cabray, but Paddy Morrow and Maxer and Martina that come through and are able to give us different perspectives. And LJ Cleary as well. There's another guy who's in Japan at the moment, and he's in one of the biggest Japanese wrestling promotions, and he's a text away from most of the guys that train. So it's those guys are making this scene what it is today. And it's only getting bigger and better. And we had a bit of a lull after COVID, but it's starting to come back up. It's starting to feel like pre-pandemic OTT, and I think we're going to exceed that because of the level of talent that Ireland's been able to produce in the last 2 or 3 years. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah. Like every time I just see we see someone actually coming into WWE that's actually from Ireland, like Irish bound, instead of us being like, oh my God, they're from Ireland, that's actually so class. We're just like looking at each other like, I feel like we know that person. I feel like we know them, good on all that kind of way.
He works with my auntie down the road, you know.
No, he's just not. He works in the shop. How's he doing well? But yeah, because that's like the very first thing that some people talk about when they want to be a professional wrestler full time is not how to run the ropes, not how to take bumps, not how to cut a promo. It's like, where do I start? Or like they ask questions, how do I get noticed? And like you mentioned all those great names, like they will actually break down like this is how to actually do it. This is the best way. So the fact that I feel like it's more you get pumped full of knowledge and actually physically is actually something else like with these schools.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, that's it. And when Jerry's just gonna say it was like you get picked up from WWE and Triple H will see ya, we'll just like be on the side like, remember us. And then Booth can look at us like, I know that bald guy. He did the shite introduction to me in that podcast he did.
Yeah, I tell you, I am Triple H's head wrecked. You know, every time I see Triple H, I'm always like, you know, Ireland. And he looks at me and he's like, you know, yeah, we're gonna get there, you know what I mean? But even at the wasn't Money in the Bank, Phil, that was the first question, I think, when are you coming to Ireland? and it was like, we're gonna get there, don't worry, we know Ireland, and we will be coming.
It was taken from us just before the pandemic. We were supposed to have NXT Takeover Dublin. It was taken from us. I just about bought tickets for it. I was so livid. I was so disappointed.
It's going to happen, though.
Yeah, no, it will happen. It will happen. I mean, like not just because you're here, Boots, it's because OTT taking off so many years in and taking off. Like even Jerry, he was interviewing Rena Belair during Clash of the Castle, and I remember Jerry, you just said it's like, you know what country does have castles? Ireland. A Clash of the Castle in Dublin, make that happen.
Yeah, it's next. It has to be. You've had Wales, you've had Scotland. I think next year we're going to get Ireland, and it's probably obviously it's going to be Dublin, you know. But I think would it be right to say, I could be wrong, is the RDS bigger than the Three Arena?
I think you can fit more people in, but you don't have tiered seating. Like the Three Arena, you have.
Oh yeah. So they'll do the Three Arena. So yeah, that's where it'll be. Yeah,
but the Three Arena is still 13,000. So
well, yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we'll take that. Triple H, we will take that 13,000. Please give it to us. We'll sell it in 1 hour, but look, we'll take it.
But the question is, do they keep the Welsh flag on the poster like they did this year, even though it was in Scotland?
Yeah, I've seen that. My God.
I was like just talking to a friend of mine. He said the exact same thing, and I'm like, sure, that won't cause problems at all. But all in all, like Boots, even though I made a bad introduction to yourself, like
Oh,
yourself, Joe, Sash, everyone, you actually played so many great ways in the Irish scene, like in wrestling in general, coming over to check out Ireland. So we're not going to give you a round of applause, but we are just going to do a wave because a lot of people probably listening to us. So go on, go on. SMR of a Boots channel, like Boots, Boots, Boots. Right.
Oops.
Right. So look, wrestling, what can we say? Great crack wrestling, great fun, positivity about wrestling. So anyway, the Miss McMahon Netflix show. Has anyone seen that over the past weekend?
I've seen about half.
I've binged the whole series. Very, very revealing about one Mr. McMahon, aka Vince McMahon. That's apparently two separate people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember I was like watching it, and a friend of mine, I was messaging. He said that he's not a big wrestling fan, but he actually was interested in watching the documentary. Like, look, I'm watching it. I really want to see more about wrestling. And literally about 2 episodes in, he told me he just says, "Matt, what the fuck?" So, but of course, like I watched it, and there was so many like moments about because personally, I actually don't really know the full story of how at the time WWF first came about. So seeing about Vince actually went to all these territories actually come about was granted controversial, but think about the time wrestling wasn't a big thing. So having like this small company of WWF becoming a big thing is what got people talking, especially for WrestleMania lads.
Yeah,
What do
it
you
was
think?
crazy because I think wrestling hit in the 80s was it 35 million viewers? Was it
Yeah.
like I think it was 35 million people who watched that Piper's Pit segment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and now they're lucky if they get 1 or 2 million. It's kind of mad to think that in 40 years how far would they've gone.
Yeah, but listen, there's timing for everything. And I think back then the timing was right, in the sense of like you look at like certain people, like I'm gonna refer to someone here, like that guy Ariel Hawani, like
Yeah.
he was a guy that clicked on YouTube at the right time. He started doing reviews and stuff, and someone said to me, he even said it to me, it was the right time. Like back then in the 80s, obviously there was territories, and it's still beyond me how Vince McMahon wasn't killed stone dead because them territories back then were not the fuck with. Like you did not mess about. But obviously obviously he paid off a few people. I don't know what way it worked, and we might see more in months to come. But it's surreal that he crossed so many territories and then got away with it and then built the empire. But it's it's fucking this is mad shit. Like
Yeah.
I find it was an extremely like necessary move because we don't know if we get wrestling on Irish TV or we get like wrestling becoming a global success. It was in Japan, it was in Puerto Rico, it was in America, it was in England, but they're all so like kind of scattered, kind of like separated. And it was never it was popular everywhere, but we needed that one de facto like Nike or like Microsoft, Apple kind of company to make wrestling even more popular because nowadays it is like the most popular it's ever been. You don't get a million, there are 30 million people watching it on TV, but you get 100 million people watching it on social media. So
yeah.
it's a great like WWE was necessary to grow wrestling as not only an art form but a an attraction and actually keep it alive. I don't think it would have died, but it would not have made like as much of a reach if it wasn't for Vince McMahon's kind of destruction of the territory system in America.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know that a lot of people had so many mixed feelings about Vince McMahon, but the man knows exactly how to keep growing. He always
Mm.
has that mindset. Because I know this wasn't part of the documentary, but I remember I listened to Kurt Angle was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about what it's like being with Vince. He reportedly says that he works out like for 4 hours every night. He only even on holidays he has businessmen with him. He has like 2 hours sleep. All these myths and legends. I was like thinking, this man does not turn off his brain at all. He
No.
always comes up with ideas.
How
Yeah.
does he have time to do the horrible shit that he did? He was accused
Yeah.
of. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's mad.
Yeah, definitely mad.
He was
Well,
But
def
listen,
he was
there's so many
definitely
actors.
He
Yeah,
was
sorry.
definitely sleeping 3 hours a night, and then 3 hours during the day, and then 3 hours in the evening. There's no way he was doing 8 to 10 hours a day sleeping.
Yeah, but sure, like the minute, what's that minute again that he used to train at 2 a.m. or something? Is it or 4
Yeah,
a.m.?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
But you
that
hear a
whole,
lot of guys. I watch Mark Wahlberg there all the time. I know I'm kind of changing the subject there. Mark Wahlberg there be live on Instagram at like 3 o'clock in the morning having steak and eggs, and then he's like, I'm having my workout. Like it's just this thing these guys buy into. They have all the money in the world. Obviously, look, they're able to inject their bodies with vitamin C and D and fucking E and F and whatever. Like, but it's yeah, like Vince is a guy that never slept. But there's one guy I want to speak to soon. Do you know that guy Al Foran, that Irish comedian?
oh yeah, yeah.
He does all the voiceovers. He actually bumped into Vince a couple of months back, and he got a picture with Vince. And that's something I'd love to talk to him about. It's the last picture, apparently, of Vince McMahon in public with
Over
someone.
all this stuff, yeah.
Just because I think the news broke about a week after that. I think it was when he was in the Undertaker with he was with the Taker in Rhea, and he met him and he was chatting to him. So we must try and get Alan to speak about it because that's unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's just so much mad. Just like so many mad stories about Vince McMahon. I think there's a reason why the very first episode was the filmmakers and the crew told him about what do you want to talk about. He says, we're going to talk about the least thing I ever like to talk about, and that's me. Because he is a secret man, lads. You know this, like
Yeah. But you see the
so
way he said at the start as well, he was like, I'd love to talk about them stories, but I can't. But he was like, what stories, Vince? Tell us about the stories. "Oh, I can't. Do you know what I mean? He was kind of like, you could see he was kind of getting all nervous at the start, and he was kind of like, I don't normally talk about myself and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, it's fucking like, you know what I mean? This guy is a massive part of our childhoods, you know what I mean? And it's interesting, still cautious, but look, obviously there has been a lot of cover-ups and payoffs, but yeah, look, I suppose it's my final verdict. Like people give their opinions on Vince, and some are cautious, some are not. Like, I suppose we'll know a lot more now after this documentary because more things will come out.
yeah, more things is
Thing
not going to
is,
stop. I don't think.
Without Vince McMahon, nobody would be where we are now.
No.
As hard as it is to say it, it's true. He's affected
Yeah,
probably billions of people. Like one person
Mm.
has
yeah.
affected billions of people. It's mad.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, yeah, it's like what you said. What if Vince just said that he kept his word with his dad and he just left the developmental to just be its own companies? It'll just be kind of like a side traction at this point.
Mm.
So say what you will about Vince. Of course, I have very mixed feelings about the man myself, but he made wrestling the way it is. That's like all over the world because of this little choice that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna buy out all these developmental deals.
Yeah, it's you have to kind of separate his crimes from his accomplishments, you know. He was a very good businessman, but he just probably wasn't able to handle power. There's a line that he says in I think the final episode, or the second last episode, where he talks about how he doesn't like rich people. He doesn't like people in power, and he always tries to fight that. But you are a man that owns $1 billion company, and you've had countless stories about your abuse or your hard-headedness, and your disrespect of people. So his intentions in terms of business were always kind of reasonable or kind of understandable, but when it comes to his personal life, he just kind of seems like he was never ever like had a proper kind of introduction on a proper social relationship. It was never, he was abused when he was younger, and then he like met his father for the first time when he was 12 and had a very, not, I don't want to throw around the word toxic, but like that's the only way I can really describe it, for lack of a better term, like a toxic relationship with his father. So how does a man like that get in control of $1 billion industry, and not turn into what he hates?
Yeah. Well put.
That's the best way to put it. And even when he was like talking about his backstory and everything, I know that it's always difficult to break the character out, not just in wrestling, but in films as well. Like you see like a certain actor known as this certain role, and you can see them as that actor. I just see Vince McMahon just being still the character.
Ric Flair is the same.
I think Ric Flair is Ric Flair in real life, if we're gonna
That's
be
what I mean.
honest.
Like they don't know how to separate the reality of it.
Flair's going to be the next documentary. Flair's probably worse than Vince, and I don't mean to say that in a bad way. I could be
He
completely
just
wrong,
got
but
divorced again there the other day.
Yeah.
yeah. Like Flair. There's one thing I will say about Vince McMahon, right? And yet again, like you know what I mean. It's I'm very on the fence here because you have to watch what you say. But I was observing Vince from the early days to now, and I generally believe somewhere along the lines he did lose his way a small bit. I think at the start,
When he purchased WCW, the man lost his way.
yeah, there was definitely good intentions, and I think a lot of the shit that happened behind the scenes that was coming out about like Jimmy Snuka and obviously the steroid trial, this and that. I think some of that maybe wasn't all his fault, if you get me, but it was, and he had to stand and protect the company or whatever way he did, you know. But he definitely lost his way, and I'm just trying to figure out in my head when. And I think you could be right, maybe WCW.
WCW dying and him purchasing it. I think there was nothing left for him to fight for.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad because, like, for me, I feel like a lot of people just got invested with the bad things about Vince. But I just looked at it and be like, yeah, I was invested, but I was really happy we got to go back and see how it all started, the timeline of like how the wrestling business went, rivaling with WCW, dying with WCW. It was just like something to watch. Like, so that's why I recommend anyone who's even a passing fan of wrestling.
It's it's a perfect documentary, and it was a perfect move. Like obviously WWE would probably have to have approved it. It's a perfect move for January 2025 when WWE does move over to Netflix to have something that disassociates WWE from Vince McMahon, but shows you this why wrestling is so magical. Especially the first like couple of episodes really reinforce like how wrestling enthralls people and why it's so popular and why there's $1 billion deal with Netflix to bring it over here. And so if somebody who's never heard of WWE or never watched wrestling, but they've heard of this Vince McMahon character who's kind of bad, you get the if you make a fan through this documentary, you get them to go, right, Vince McMahon is gone, we don't like him anymore, but this wrestling thing is class, and that's why all these people watch it.
Netflix is going to open the door for so many people to watch WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So
Whether
look,
$100 or whatever it is in America, just mental.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on. That was the Netflix. Our thoughts on Vince McMahon. Netflix. We focused more on the man than the documentary about exactly what we did. But of course, Vince McMahon has a history. He made like friends, enemies, and he made a lot of like rivalries in Bad Blood. But what's about Bad Blood? What I think will be next Saturday, which we're going to be talking about. God, I love segues. It's going to be next. This is going to be the final episode before Bad Blood.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, mainly because, lads, I'm a big fan of Hell in a Cell when I was a kid, and I feel like I know that's a random one, but I felt like it's going back to its roots in Bad Blood. So the very first match I'd like to talk about is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Lads, what's your thoughts and predictions on this one?
I'd love Drew to win, but I think Punk's going to win. Yeah, I don't know. I just think there's something tells me CM Punk's fighting Gunther at Survivor Series.
Yeah. Feel like that. Said this before. I kind of was enjoying the rivalry, but we don't want it to drag out way too long.
Yeah.
Maybe just like have like not every match and every pay-per-view.
I also have one little thing because in my head now because I'll forget about it in a minute. I think we're going to have a draft before the Netflix.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think SmackDown's moved to 3 hours as well, which is really I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of change might be happening with the Netflix show. Boot. Oh, I'm just gonna say Boot to redeem myself. That.
Yeah.
What's your predictions? It's gonna be CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell on spot.
I am going to say, probably CM Punk. It's a very well told feud. I think leaving with the cathartic win for CM Punk and to separate the two of them, I think is probably the best for business. And CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, they're on fire right now. So no matter who wins, which I think it will be CM Punk, no matter who wins, like they're both going to come out of it much, much better than what they were beforehand.
All right, Jerry.
Yeah, Punk's going to win. Just given the whole balance and the fact he's back, and they'll probably want to use him a bit now, maybe for the next year or two, because I don't know how long he's got left. But it's yeah, look, I love Drew McIntyre, but I think Punk will win this one. I think it doesn't affect McIntyre in any way with a loss against Punk, and it's good for business. It keeps people guessing, and I'm all for Punk on the march and winning the title, definitely.
Yeah. And let's move on to the next one I'm looking at, which is going to be Liv Morgan taking on Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship, and Dirty Dom will be hanging above the ring in a dark cage. Boots, I know you're loving this already, lad. What you think?
This is my girlfriend's favorite feud right now, and I love this feud just for Dirty Dom. I think he's such a great performer, and I'm really not looking forward to the match per se, but I'm looking forward to just seeing Dom in the cage. I see Liv Morgan retaining for this one. Dirty Dom's gonna have dirty ways and really cost Rhea the match. So
it's not just the name. Phil, Jerry.
Yeah, I just say
yeah, Liv.
I think Liv. I don't know how, but it could be just a dropping knocks down or something shenanigans.
Yes.
Jerry, what do you think on the spot?
Yeah, I think Phil hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, if Dom's gonna drop something down, bang,
yeah.
1, 2, 3. Rhea will be champion again soon, but I think this whole Liv Morgan thing is working well. It's and Dominic is an absolute gem, and I want to see him wrestle more in the near future. But this guy is box office.
Please let him
big fan.
Please let him beat Jey Uso.
Yeah,
I feel like yeah, Liv is gonna win. But I feel like some tells me that lad from County Whitlaw, JD McDonough, is gonna like cost him somehow. Forgot about that now.
What happened?
You never know. But speaking of some lad from County Whitlaw, it's going to be Finn Balor will be taking on Damian Priest. What's everyone's thoughts about that? Predictions?
Really quickly, I'd love Finn to win, but I think Priest, because they won't have two. It's just they don't book like that. They won't have two of the heels go over. That's just I just think Priest.
I'm going to say Balor.
I know Triple H doesn't have a tendency to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think people want Damian Priest to kick Finn Balor's arse, so I think if they're not going to prolong the feud, it'll definitely be Damian Priest. So I'm going Damian.
Yeah, and we also have Cody Rhodes teaming up with Roman Reigns, taking on Sato Sakura and Jacob Fatu. On the spot predictions.
Rhodes and Reigns, but Paul Heyman will return.
Yes.
I think they have to do War Games, I think, in some form. So I think Fatu and Solo are gonna walk out with this one, just so we have more fire for War Games. Hopefully, I'm praying it's War Games.
But there's before that though. There's a Saudi show.
Oh, there is
too many shows.
Yeah.
I think I kind of feel like a lot of people give me looks, but I feel like The Rock is going to intervene somehow, and like that's going to lead into The Rock joining the new bloodline. That leads into War Games, leading into Roman versus The Rock at the next WrestleMania. Jerry, what's your thoughts on this spot, real quick?
Yeah, I'm not really into this match. I think it's I'm not a fan of Roman and Cody teaming, but look, it is wrestling, and look, Roman's back. I agree with F, and I think the boys are going to beat Cody and Roman. Makes sense.
Yeah, and the next match probably the first match will be Nia Jax versus Bayley. I'm not really invested with this one of all the matches, but what's everyone's predictions on this one? Real quick.
Nia Jax will retain.
Yeah, Nia Jax.
Yeah, Nia Jax.
Yeah. Okay, we all agreed. Okay. All right. Now, yeah, that is our predictions for Bad Blood. What's everyone else's predictions? You watching, you particular, you. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts on Bad Blood right now. And then before we wrap up, Nathan Boots Murphy, how do you want to send all of us off now?
So, first of all, I just want to say, Nathan Boots Murphy. Oh, camera just died. I killed my camera. What happened? Ah!
What a way to go. Out in style.
Oh my God,
right.
what happened to me? Oh, there we go.
Remember when Boots was on this podcast? Great crack. All right, we're running out of time. Boots, you're a gent. Make sure to keep on walking. Thanks, lads. Talk soon.